My hills have eyes moment in Texas. In 2010 I was driving from New Orleans, Louisiana to Eugene, Oregon. It was just me, 24, and my 2-year-old pit bull in a 14-feet U-Haul truck with everything I owned crammed into the back, a fancy flip phone, and my printout of MapQuest directions. I think the first smartphones actually came out around that time, but I didn't have one. Cell phone service was also much spottier, and there were long stretches through the desert where I had zero service for hundreds of miles. I was driving a lonely stretch of highway through central Texas when I realized I hadn't seen a town or exit for a very long time, and my giant U-Haul was really low on gas. Just when I'm starting to freak out and seriously run out of gas, I see a small town coming up. I pull into this town and it is tiny. I was so worried about other things that I never did pay attention to the name of the town, but there were only about 6 streets in the whole place. I go gas up and am ready to get back on the road. Except I cannot for the life of me find my way back to the highway. I circle the town about 4 times and start getting so frustrated because this is such a tiny town. How TF can I not find my way out? I can literally see the highway but can't get to it. I return to the gas station to ask for directions. Now when I got gas, I paid at the pump and never went in. When I enter for directions, there's a skinny, nondescript guy who has black hair hanging down in front of his eyes that looks like it could use a good wash. He's not particularly creepy, but a little rude. He never really met my eyes, he was looking down at a magazine. He gives me directions that don't sound right at all. He's telling me to take a road that will get me to the highway in about 17 miles. For a moment I am dumbfounded. Then I point out that I didn't drive that far to get from the highway into town. Why so far to get back to the highway? I can literally see it from the town. He is so casual, almost like I'm just an annoyance and can follow his directions or not. Why should he care? He gives me some explanation about the road curving around that doesn't really make sense. He still doesn't look at me. Just whatever, I gave you your directions, and waved his hand in the direction of the door. When I got into the parking lot, my whole body started trembling violently and my heart started racing, seemingly for no reason. I get into the truck, and as soon as I put the key into the ignition I burst into tears. I had the most terrible feeling that, no matter how nonchalant he acted, this man had bad intentions. I didn't know what, but I knew right then and there that there was no way I was going to follow his directions. Yet this was the only store in this little town, and, short of knocking on doors, no thank you. There was no one else to ask for directions. I decided I didn't give a shit if this town seemed like something dropped out of the Twilight Zone. I was going to drive around until I found my own way out, even if it took all damn night. Then a big red beater of a pickup truck, as much rust as metal, pulls up and disgorged the quintessential Texan man, huge, husky, and in flannel and work boots. Without even thinking about it, I jumped out of the truck and approached him quickly yet warily. Looking into his eyes, I saw a kind human being, or at least I was hoping I did. I asked him if he could please give me directions to the highway. I told him I knew it was silly, but I just couldn't seem to find my way back. He looked concerned as I was visibly upset, so he made me laugh and very cheerfully gave me directions for a hairpin curve turnoff right at the end of a small concrete tunnel I had passed several times. He said it often confused travelers because it was so hard to see, they need to put up signs, etc. With a sinking feeling in my stomach, I asked him how far in miles was it back to the highway. He laughed and gave me a funny look. Miles, miss? I'd say it's a quarter mile at most. You can see the highway right from here. At this point I couldn't help it, I had to know. What happens if I drive? And I gave him the directions the man in the store had given me. Texas looked at me very intently and asked me how I knew about that route. It was pretty far out and usually only locals know about it. So I told him. He was quiet for a few minutes and then asked what the attendant looked like and if I had a map of the state. No, just my MapQuest, which wasn't helpful in this situation. He goes to his truck and grabs a raggedy local map from his glove box. Spreading it out for me, he traces the route I described. The way the man from the gas station had told me to go led away from town, away from the interstate, and led to seemingly the middle of nowhere. Texas told me that the road did go about 17 miles, right before it dead-ended in the desert. I asked him what was out there, and he told me that it was nothing but some junked cars and a few trailers and mobile homes, all owned by the same family. This family was known locally as troublemakers, meth heads, and alcoholics, and these were the nice things townspeople had to say about them. And the erstwhile clerk was part of this family and lived down that road. I'll never forget the look in Texas's eyes as he told me this. He also told me that I was smart to listen to my instincts, and he told me to be careful traveling out there. I don't know if the man from the gas station wanted what was in the back of my U-Haul or what was in the driver's seat, but thankfully I didn't have to find out. Oh, and I learned that sometimes angels look like ruddy-haired Texans with scruffy faces and rusty pickups. Thank you, random Texan stranger. You really saved my ass, and I will always remember you with tons of love. Sorry I didn't ask your name. You're forever Texas to me now. Someone tried to lure me out of my apartment with the recording of an injured woman. Austin, Texas, happened last night about midnight. I was in my bed when I heard frantic knocking. I walked out of my bedroom while the knocking continued again and heard a woman saying, "Please help me," along with crying, but it was faint. I looked out the peephole to see no one there and no other doors were being knocked on. Just mine, which is odd by itself, but I am also on the 3rd floor. Why would someone walk all the way up to just my app if in distress? I think it was a recording, because if someone really needed help they would be banging on everyone's door. I called the police immediately and the dispatcher told me not to open the door, and if I had a weapon. I have heard of this tactic before, while slightly different with it being a recording of a baby crying. Just insane when thinking about the statistics of stranger abductions usually result in murder. Also, just so sick to try and prey on people's empathy. Police drove by. I saw them using their spotlight to look through the complex, but as of now, I have no idea if anyone was found or by chance someone was hurt, if they found her. I've barely slept with all the possibilities of how this person found me, where they saw me, when they followed me, or if they live in this complex. I am 4 feet 10 inches, live alone and don't know many people in my area. No family close either. Have they been watching me and know all this? I mean, it's just making me go crazy. Stay vigilant, don't fall for these tactics, and know that not everything you read on the internet is false. I heard about this a year ago, and wonder if I hadn't already been aware of this, would I have opened the door? Where would I be right now? Would I be alive? This world is fucked. Update, 2:57 p.m. I have talked with the management to let them know what is going on. As of right now, no one else has reported to them of anything similar happening. I am going to contact the police again for an update. I was redirected to another PD, but they weren't the ones who responded to the call. I know it takes some time for reports to be filed, so I am trying to be patient. I just want to know if this has happened to anyone else. I have ordered a Ring camera and will be picking it up shortly. At least this way I could get video of them if they come back, and it will help me sleep better. As far as it being a prank, absolutely it could be, but I would be more inclined to believe it if it happened to other women in the apartment. Maybe it has but haven't said anything. One side of the coin, it's a very cruel prank that I shouldn't worry about. The other is that someone has been watching me and had something sinister in mind. Horrifying to think someone would pull an elaborate prank like this, or real-world things that happen that we never think could happen to us. With guns and self-defense classes, I will be getting both of these, but they both take time and a lot of money. I don't want to just get a cheap gun with no training, that won't help much. It will be something I will invest my time and money into, but for the short security, I can really only get a Ring camera and stay updated with the PD. Thank you everyone with your helpful tips, like the neighborhood apps and gun safety. I appreciate it so much during this very scary time. Update 2, 8:30 p.m. I have my Ring camera installed and working. I feel much safer knowing if they come back, I can at least have a recording of them. I know I need to talk to my neighbors, but right now I'm exhausted from no sleep and still spooked, so I will do that tomorrow. Also, hopefully the police report will be filed tomorrow, and I can talk to the deputy about this, see if there is any update. Thanks for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It's free and you can always unsubscribe. See you in the next one.